Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you all are doing good. It has been a while that made a video on Azure. So today I've come up with a new topic, which is going to be very interesting. In this video, I'm going to describe about the important skill you need to have if you are applying for a Azure admin role. Sometimes this can be one of the mandatory requirement for most of the Azure admin job requirements. So that is nothing but, most of the times you might be getting a question from interviewers. Do you have experience in Azure PowerShell? Did you work on PowerShell scripting? How much comfortable you are with the PowerShell scripting? Most of them who are coming from a different background, like non-technical or technical, but they have been doing as a L1, L2 jobs. They might be a little worried about it because they are not aware of how to create a scripts. They might say PowerShell scripting is only for the software developers and not for us. Maybe L3 or L4 people might use the PowerShell scripting, but it's not the case. Actually, everyone can learn it. It's a bit easy as well if you know the concepts, right? So in case if you say yes, I have experience, then they might ask you, where did you implement this? Okay, where did you use the PowerShell in your environment? What are the different use cases you have, right? So that is what you might be getting your questions. So in this video, I'm going to describe few use cases where you need to use Azure PowerShell, okay? And I will also talk to you about how to create a basic scripts using Azure PowerShell. You know, we are not going to talk about, what is PowerShell, what are the core components of PowerShell, and how to configure it. No. So if you have been working on Azure, or maybe you have been practicing in your labs about Azure services like creating VM, creating storage account, network, some other components, right? So you will have some idea about, how things works on Azure. Then you will learn how to create or manage those resources using PowerShell in this video. Okay, it's like a very basics. If you're already aware of the PowerShell scripting, you might not be finding it is very useful. But if you're a beginner and you wanted to understand what is PowerShell and how to create a PowerShell script, this is going to be very, very helpful to you. So let's get started with the few use cases. Then we will go for how to create a basic scripts in PowerShell. Okay, so one of the use case what I can talk about is, let us say you have multiple VMs in Azure. Okay, if it is one, two machines, or maybe 10, 15, 100 machines, maybe if you have enough bandwidth, that is fair enough. Now you have a VNet, multiple VNets, and inside the multiple VNets or multiple subnets, and sometimes you might have multiple subscriptions as well, right? If you want to get these virtual machines information, like what kind of information you can get it, you can get VM size. Maybe you want to fetch some information like what is the status of your VM. Okay, what is a allocated VM size for all virtual machines, the number of disks attached to the VM. Okay, maybe the number of IP addresses each VM has hit. um, some nowadays, Microsoft Azure portal also you can get the similar information, but there could be some specific requirements. Okay, you can get this from Azure portal, but at the same time you can also build a script where you can just write one script and execute it. It will give you all the details into a CSV file, and you can start monitoring it or validating it. But what difference you see is, okay, the other operations, like I wanted to resize the VMs, resize the VM only for the non-prod. Okay, within the non-prod, I have some specifications like the only application servers. I don't want to touch DB server, or I don't want to touch any web servers. I want to only resize application servers. Then it is kind of difficulty for you. because maybe you might have certain naming standard for the application servers. Okay, let's say app-01 VM-app-01. This could be one of the naming standard which can tell you, okay, this is my VM application server. Maybe there could be other naming standards you can follow. But if you go to the Azure portal, right, and if you wanted to resize, you have to go to each and every VM, okay, and go to the VM size, click on the VM size, then change the size. So if you have multiple servers, it is going to be difficulty for you. First of all, identifying servers, okay, identifying servers is a difficulty, only application servers, okay. Then resizing all the servers. If you have, let's say 20 servers or 30 servers, you need to go to each and every server and do it manually. Like, power up the machine, resize the machine and start it. Maybe you can go to the VM, click on the size, look for the new size and resize it. It's going to take more time for you to implement it. Okay. Then you might be asked, your team lead or manager might ask, hey, this is taking more time, can you please automate this process, right? That is where your PowerShell script or your skills come into the picture. Then you will be building a script, okay, identifying the list of servers with the certain naming standards, which contains the app-01, maybe non-prod. Maybe if you are using a tags, Azure tags, to differentiate the non-prod environment, production environment, application servers, products, then you can also use certain commands to fetch those servers. And later, once you fetch it, right, you can actually you know export the data into CSV just for your reference. What are the servers you are performing operations. Then later you can also import this. You can also specify the size in your variable, or maybe you can also put that in a CSV file, modify the CSV file, import again, and just do a resize of execute resize command. It's going to take just 5 minutes for you to execute this entire operation. You can just create one for loop and it will just resize for all the machines. So if without PowerShell, you might be spending around 2 hours or 3 hours minimum, and you might see a lot of human errors as well. Because instead of searching for a app server, if you search for the DB server, maybe you might be in a trouble, right? To avoid those manual errors, PowerShell could be one of the scenario. You might say, I have worked on a project where I have to resize multiple application servers, by exporting them to a CSV and adding the required size, the target size, and again importing them to my PowerShell window and just resizing them. There could be some other scenarios, if you want to go a little extend in the PowerShell before you resize. Resize basically require downtime. So you might stop the services inside the operating system, then resize. Then once the resize is completed, you might start the services so that your application is online. You, without dependency on an application team, you can ensure that your application is up and running. That could be one of the scenarios as well. You can talk about it. And the other scenarios, if you're working on a Azure, and you might be adding a disk based on your application team request, a database team request. You are adding it and you forgot, when they raise the request to detach it, maybe they may not update you, or maybe you forgot to detach it. Maybe you detached from the VM, but you forgot to delete the disk from the Azure. Then in that case, it's going to be a zombie disk, right? It's going to be unused disk. So if you want to identify list of disks which are not attached to the VM, just idle in your system, right, in your Azure portal, which is eventually, costing you or billing you much. You want to save the cost by identifying such zombie disk. You can also build a script. You can say, I have worked on such scenarios. I wrote a script where I can actually find disks which are unattached, and I just get those disks and get approval. If everything is fine, I'm going to delete it once with the one script. Okay, that's one of the script approach. You can actually talk about it, and one of the use case as well. And the other use cases, let's say you want to get list of VMs where hybrid use benefit is enabled or not enabled. Maybe you have a SQL server. You want to check the VMs where SQL license is enabled or not, properly set or not, developer, or, enterprise edition, which is configured for the VM. You want to get it, you can just, build a script which can fetch VMs where it is SQL server and where it has hybrid, SQL licenses enabled, and all the details you can just get into a CSV file. These are the couple of use cases. And one of the common use case you can tell, like, I have to install critical applications into my server, like your antivirus application. It could be a McAfee or Sentinel-1 or CrowdStrike application. You need to install in all Azure virtual machines. Maybe as soon as the VM is built, you need to install it, right? Then maybe maybe your team might have forgot to install during the build phase, and you have around 50 or 100 uh, 200 servers where you need to install these applications remotely. There could be other options where you can use group policies, some other components, but in case if you want to reduce the time and you want to implement it, you can just build a script. That script actually go inside the each machine and just install the application and get you the status. That could be one of the use case. Obviously in this case we can use DSC, Azure DSC, but we don't, if you don't want to use the DSC, and you can also use a simple invoke Azure VM command to install the applications into the all machines remotely. And sometimes you might get a request to get the uptime of multiple machines, right? That is also possible with the PowerShell script. Okay, if I talk about, there can be many use cases, where you as Azure administrator might have to have a skill uh, to work on PowerShell. Okay, like getting the list of VMs where backup enabled, getting the list of VMs where Azure Site Recovery is enabled, right? So there could be various use cases you can see, and nowadays Microsoft is trying to provide search details directly in Azure portal. There is, they introduced a concept called a Resource Graph Explorer, and there you can run some Custo queries to fetch it. But still, PowerShell has more capabilities compared to Resource Graph Explorer. With Resource Graph Explorer, you can just fetch the information only. You cannot modify, you cannot update. Like I just explained you, you want to resize the VM for multiple VMs, then you can use a PowerShell. You can only get the VMs from Resource Graph queries, but you cannot perform the resize operations through Resource Graph Explorer. Okay, so that's the beauty of PowerShell. Then now let's get into the discussion of how to create a basic PowerShell script. Okay, and how to install Azure PowerShell and how to create a basic commands. Okay, in case if you have any questions after this video, feel free to comment or email me, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to provide you more information about it. All right, in case if you have any issues with the scripting and you need some help, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to assist you guys. Thank you. Let's get into the all right.
We can.
Okay, great. So we need to launch the PowerShell ISE with the administrator mode first. Okay, I'm going to bring up here. This is PowerShell ISE, which is administrator with the administrator rights. I opened. So for the first time, if you don't have Azure modules installed, as I said yesterday, you have to use the command install. The good thing with this PowerShell ISE, right, you will get a script window. Okay, if I start from this basic, right, you'll get a script window. You can write your own script and you can save that script as a .ps1. You can see the .ps1. Let me save this. If I want to save it on the desktop or documents, let's say basic commands. Okay, basic.ps1. This is my PowerShell script window. I'm going to type whatever I need it. And another good thing with the PowerShell ISE, you see the commands window. If you don't remember the command, You just search here. Let's say you want to get the storage account information. Just type storage. If you look at this, right, there are many other commands. So add, copy, clear, disable, and enable, get. So if you want to get the details, then you have to look for the get command. Get hyphen easy, let's say storage account, right? So you need to look for this. Click on this, okay? And just click on show details. So here it is gonna provide you the basic commands, like basic parameters that you can input, and that will create a command. Let's say storage account name is Kamal STS prod, just giving an example. And resource group name is like prod.rg. Example, I'm taking prod.rg, and copy this and go to your script window and paste it. So this is how you create a command, right? If you don't know how to create a command, you can just follow. This is for a very basic level, right? That's a advantage with the PowerShell ISE. It's not only Azure command, any other commands, right? PowerShell is come by default with the Windows operating system, and whatever the operations you do from your Windows GUI, you can do the similar operations through PowerShell also. So you can get all the commands here. You just need to search and create a command for you. So to start with the Azure, we need to use the install modules. We have to install the Azure modules. So basically this is a PowerShell window. By default, you get a PowerShell operating system commands. In case if you want to interact with the any other components like Azure, you need to install the Azure commands, or we call it as a SDKs, right? So we install the Azure commands here with the command Azure module, install module, and give a name hyphen, type name, and provide the name of the module. I'm going to say AZ. Then you can say AllowClobber. And if you want to input any other values, you can input. This should be fine. I'm going to execute this. And you should be an administrator. You should run this as an administrator. So I already have installed, because that is why you're seeing the commands in the left side window. Otherwise, it would have given some error. So I'm going to install this. If you get this pop-up, you can click on S2L, because this is a trusted Microsoft repository. You can trust this and install the commands or modules. It will take some time for the installation to be completed. You need to wait. In case if you're already in your system, you may also try parallelly. Okay, it's installing the modules. Yeah, so it is installed. Okay. And if you don't want to execute this command, just put hash in front of it. So this command will not be executed next time. So once it is installed, just do a refresh in the top right side under the command section. So the modules will be loaded. Otherwise, you can relaunch this PowerShell window. You close it and relaunch it. So the modules will be automatically updated, and you will see anything, the commands contains AZ. So AZ, wherever you see AZ, right, they are Azure commands. Okay, these are our Azure commands. So this how you can validate whether it is installed or not. So once it is installed, what you need to do is you need to authenticate with Azure. So to authenticate, you have to enter connect-az account So this is a command, you can just use it to authenticate. So if you click on this first green button, it's gonna run all the lines and execute it. If you click on this one line and you want to execute only this line, then click on the second green button. So I can click on the first green button because the first line already commented out. Even though it is trying to copy, put it in the execution window, it won't execute because we are commented out this one. Okay, I can just click on this way. So it's gonna ask me to authenticate. I'm authenticating with my subscription. You need to enter the user ID password. Since I already have this cached in my browser, so it's not gonna ask me to enter the password. Unless if it is a wrong password, it will. So once this is completed, I'm gonna put this also commented out. You can see my subscription name here and my tenant ID and my user account name. So what is next? What exactly we wanted to achieve? Okay, so we'll try to run some basic commands to get the information from Azure, right? Let's say if I want to get the subscription name or subscription details. So if you don't know the command, what we need to do, get, right? It's a get command, obviously. And what command we have to use? AZ, right? It's Azure, get-AZ. If it is a new, you just need to say new-AZ. If it's a remove, you can say remove-AZ. So first you have to add your requirement here, then hyphen, then the module, right? After this, what do you want to know? You want to know about subscription. Just type subscription, few words, it will give you the command. Then you have many options here. Based on the subscription ID, you can filter whatever it is. So what you can do is just click on copy and go here and paste it and run this command. So I want to execute only this line, then just say only execute that. So it says run selection F8. Okay, it brought two subscriptions. My account, this is the account name, account ID that has two subscriptions, and one is in a disabled status, the other one is in an enabled status. Okay, like this. Now let's say if I want to get a storage account, let me see. So get -az, then storage account. I'm getting this. I'll just copy this and execute it here. So I'm not commenting out any other lines because I'm going to execute only the one specific line. There are two storage accounts I'm seeing here. Okay, you can see the storage account name, resource group, all these things. Okay, I'm commenting out the third line also just to be on a safer side. Now you see you're getting two storage accounts, but you want to know only one storage account information. Then how do you filter one storage account name and get only one storage account details? To do that, you need to provide the name parameter here in this query, right? Provide the name. Let's say if I want to get Bhupati's storage account name, click on here. Paste the storage account name. What is the resource group name? You can see the resource group names from here. Copying the resource group name here. I think that should be fine. Just click on copy and go to the script window and just execute from there. I'm executing only one line. Now you see it is giving only information about your storage account. One storage account. Earlier it has given all the storage account. Now we filtered the storage accounts with their name and resource group, right? And this is giving some information only, not full information, right? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like couple of properties it is giving. But if I go to the Azure portal and go to the storage account, click on the storage account, you see many properties here, right? But here I'm getting only some properties. So what we can do is we can just say add pipe command. I think it should be format list. Let's say list and run this. You see now it is giving more properties of your storage account. Okay. And let's say out of this, you only wanted to print some name or something like that, right? if you want to do that, what we need to do is we need to store this data into a variable. You can just take out this. Okay, what I will do is I'll just comment out this also for your reference later, right? So I'm going to run this command only, but this time I'm not going to print here directly. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this data into a variable. Variable is just like, temporary storage component within this PowerShell window. When you now we are storing some data here in the variable, and you close this PowerShell window and reopen, and you execute the same variable, it won't give, because it's a temporary variable, temporary storage component, and it will only be useful until this window is not closed. Now what I want to say, anything you're declaring with the dollar is called a variable. Let's say stdetails, you can give any name. Okay, this is the stdetails, is nothing but storage account details. Okay, just go ahead and execute this. So data is stored into this dollar details. It's not giving output. Earlier it is giving all this output, right? Now the data will be stored into this. And to get this data, what you can do, just select this part and use the second green button. It is gonna fetch that. Otherwise, what you can do is, if you want to fetch the name of the storage account, right? Just say dot, put your variable name and press that dot. It will get you all the properties of your storage account. Let's say I want to get only the name. Just say type name. It will give you the details, storage account name. Just select this and hit enter. It's giving the name. Let's say I want to get the let's say stdetails.ResourceGroupName. It's a resource group name, right? It's giving you. You don't need to write anything. You don't need to struggle anything like that. It's giving all the details for you, right? That's the beauty of this variable part. Okay, so you can use these variables in some other places also. Okay, now what you have done is, let's say you are going to declare another variable. Let's say name. Okay, name equal to this, and resource group equal to RG. You can say RG equal to this, which means when you execute this, the storage account name will be stored into this. And when you execute this, the resource group name will be stored into $RG. And now if I say $name, it's giving my storage account name. If I say $RG, it's giving my resource group name. And these values I can use when executing some other command. Let's say if I want to delete this storage account. So to delete, what I said, remove, right? Just go to the remove -az storage account. You see this one? Here it is asking for the name of the storage account and resource group name as well. Instead of giving this name and resource group manually, I want to give this variable. Let's say this name as a $name, resource group as $RG, and it will ask you whether if you say confirm, please you need to confirm yes and no. If you say false, it will not ask you for any confirmation. Just copy this and paste it here, and you can see you built a command for it. Okay, now if I run this, it should delete the storage account. Okay, it's going to delete the storage account. It is deleted. Now if you run this command, it will say error because there is no storage account exist, because we just deleted. Even if I go back to the Azure portal and do a refresh here, the Bhupati storage account shouldn't be here. You see, it's not there. It's the storage account. Once again, if I click on it, it will give me an error. See, it's already deleted.
Is there any restore option once deleted? Suppose if you
No,
delete.
there's no option here. Once you delete the storage account, it's gone. Okay. So this is the command for the remove. And in case if you want to store the output into this a variable, you can also do it. Okay. This is about the basic commands. Okay. Now let's say if you want to create a storage account, right? Let's give that option. So what are the basic parameters are needed? You need to first analyze that. If you want to create a storage account, what do we need? Generally, if I go back to Azure portal, create a storage account, right? What are the basic parameters you give? Subscription, resource group name, and storage account name, region, performance tier. These are mandatory fields, you have it, right? So these things you have to declare while you're creating a storage account through PowerShell. So those things you have to declare first. And if you don't know how to do it, just say new-az storage account. Okay, it will give you all the required information. Okay, you can specify a location name. Let's say you want to keep this location for multiple. Let's say $location equal to, let's say, east to west. Okay, east to west is the location. Okay, I'll just use these words, use these values because we already used it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna say the below script is gonna help you to create a storage account. Okay, these values I will remove because I used it for something else, right? To remove it, I've used it. Okay, now from here we are going to start it. Okay, I'm declaring the location. I need to also provide the name. Let's say StName. Okay, storage account name. Let's give the same name, or maybe let's say some other name. Go PSTS01. Okay, and what else we need? We need a resource group, right? $RG is already there. We can still use that. Let's say let's use something else. stRG. Okay, stRG, and I will take one of the resource group from Azure portal. If I go to RGs, I'll use appRG here for now. I'm declaring these variables now. Okay, we declared these things. These are the mandatory stuff, and first execute this. Okay, I executed, so the values are stored. Now what I will do, I'll go to the location page. If there is a location, yes, it is here. The name is stName, and RG is a stRG. Okay, and SKU name you can choose from here. Standard LRS, that's a good thing here. AccessTier, you can say hot or cold tier. Any other mandatory parameters? Nothing. It's not asking anything. Whatever you see with the star, it's a mandatory one. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and just paste it here. And this is a long script that you're giving. And you can add verbose at the end. Oh, here I have to add. Okay, now verbose will give you some detailed logging. Okay, let's run this. Oh, here it is. Okay, let's wait for this to complete. Okay, you see, it's very easy, right? Are you guys finding difficulty to use the scripts or commands? Is it easy or not?
Yes.
Right? This is very easy. So now we are done with the creation of storage account. Let's say done with the creation. We did the creation, deletion, fetching the information. Okay. Now let's do something else as well. So, so what we do is, what else we do? We'll remove all the storage accounts in our subscription, or what we will do is let's try to fetch. No, it is also not correct. Okay, do we have any virtual machines here? Only one virtual machine we have. Let's create one virtual machine, and let's use a different RG. Okay, I'm going with all the default options. So while this is creating, let's try to Okay, this validation failed. Where exactly it is failed? Changing basic option may reset selections. I don't want any infrastructure. Let's go with the standard HDD. Okay, it's good only. Now what we will do is we'll try to fetch the VM details. Okay, fetch VM details. Now to fetch the VM details, what do we know? What do we need to do? We have to get get-AzVM. Simple. It's very, very simple. And this is gonna fetch all the machines if you don't customize it. Okay. So let's see. It's okay. It's failing. So you can just simply say get-AzVM here. Okay, get-AzVM and just run this. There seems to be some issue with the modules. It's giving some errors to me when I'm trying to fetch. I'm going to clear the screen now. Let me try to run again and see based on the error we can take it further. So it says import module. Okay, we'll try to import this module. Compute is nothing but your VM, right? Let's run this. It says it's giving a couple of other errors. If you're running a test, so please try to add this to some other errors it is giving. Okay, so I'm going to save this file and want to start this again. Close this window. So I'm going to open File Explorer and go to the location of the script. Okay, documents, and here you can see, right? Or you can say edit also. There will be an option called edit. If you click on edit, it will open the PowerShell window. Okay, it has opened. But what we need to do is we need to, okay, I think this is what the problem is. You know, all the time it is trying to load everything from the OneDrive. Clear. Now I have to connect again because I relaunched it, right? And all these variables won't work at all. Whatever I define location, if I directly type location, it won't work. It's giving a lot of errors. What happened to this? Okay, this is correct. Now if I say $location, right? Okay, it's saved. The previous values are saved. Okay, let's see if I can run this. It's giving the VM names also. That's good. Now this time it is working, guys. Okay, now let me save this data into a variable. $VM VMs equal to get-AzVM. Okay, run this. If I say $VMs, it's giving. Now if I say $VMs.name, it's not coming up. Earlier it was giving, right? Now it's not giving. So when I was entering the storage account, this one, When I typed $st.details, right, and press dot, it was giving me the name, resource group, all the parameters, right, all the properties. Now it is not giving. See, it's saying count. So because there are multiple values, here I give only one storage account name specifically. That's why it's able to fetch. When you have multiple, it's an array, right? It's data into an array. So that's why it won't give you this directly. And if you type like this, let's say $VMs dot name manually, it will give you, but otherwise it won't give you automatically. Okay. If you want to fetch this data, let's say if I want to perform a stop operation for multiple VMs. Okay, if I want to stop operation for one VM, you can simply say, let's say start operation, because the one of the VM is in a power off status, right? One of the VM is in a power off status. Let us start this. Later, we'll try to build a script to stop all the machines in your subscription. Okay, so to start the VM, what we need to do is you can always go to this start-AzVM in the command section. It will give you all the details, but I'm going to type it manually. Okay, let's say start-AzVM. Then hyphen, if you say name, you need to provide the name. It's giving automatically here. I'm selecting them and the resource group name. What is the resource group name of your VM? It's a WebRG, right? Okay. Then you can say type WebRG. Okay. If you want to add a verbose log, you can add it. Now you can simply enter this. It's going to start the virtual machine. And you see the VM is in running status automatically. If I go to activity log, you will see an activity started by my account. It will take some time to reflect. Maybe a few seconds it will be there. Like, my account is starting the VM, and the VM is successfully started. Okay. In case if you want to get the VM status, just type get-AzVM and name, and VM name you have to enter, then resource group, then the resource group name. Okay, run this command. It's giving you the VM name and the other details. If you say hyphen status, it will give you the status of your VM. Okay, what is the status of VM running, or stuck at some other place stages? What is the VM agent status? All the details it will give you. One simple command, it's going to change a lot of things. If you don't add this, basically it is giving the VM properties. Okay, now if it is a one VM, okay, let me save this data into a variable, let's say VM2, and run this. Now if I type VM2, it's giving, right? And if I say VM2 and dot, it's giving all the properties automatically. But if I run this, it's not giving me because it has multiple values, right? Now if I say $VMs and dot, it's not giving. So if you want to get those details, or if you wanted to perform multiple operations, like if you want to perform an operation for multiple VMs, then you have to use the for loop for it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to create a for loop here. Okay, so since we already have executed this get-AzVM, I'm going to start from here. Okay, so I'm going to close this commands window. I don't want it. You can also change the view here from left to right like this. Okay, get-AzVM running again, and testing this $VMs. Okay, two VMs are there. Now if you want to create a for loop here, you can say for each. Okay, you can have to save the data into a variable $VM details. Let's say details and VMs. Okay, then you can say like this, close like this. If you do like this, what happens is, it will fetch all the VMs. It is already in $VMs, right? It will take each uh, row and it will try to perform the operation, whatever you're going to specify within this for loop. Right now, I'm not going to specify anything in this. I'm going to execute blindly. Since I did not mention anything, it's not added anything. But I will get to know the properties. Now, if I say $VM details, say dot, you see, I'm getting all the details. Let's say name, okay? And $VM details dot resource group name. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this into another variable. VM name equal to and VMRG equal to. Now I got the VM name and VM resource group. I can perform the operations that I wanted. Let's say I want to stop the machines. Just type stop hyphen ACVM. Okay. Then in the resource group name place, you just type VMRG. And in the name place, VM name place, just say dollar VM name. Okay. Then you have to add the force command. So within this loop, for each machine, it's going to get the name and resource group and store them in this variable, and those variables can be used here. Okay, that's a okay. One second. This is how you create a PowerShell script for multiple machines. If you want to perform any operations, let's say I'm gonna say stop multiple VMs in Azure. Okay, now let's see this. I'm going to run this. For each VM, it's gonna start execution, and we know that the two machines were in a running status. Okay, now they are in running status. They will be in a power off status very soon. You can see they are deallocating. The status is changing. This will also be changed very soon. If I go to activity logs, I think I should be able to see the activity logs. So a few minutes ago, I started the virtual machine. That is what you're seeing from here. So whatever the operations you're performing, you can just go back to your Azure portal activity logs and you can start reviewing from here. I think most of you guys are already aware of this.
Kamal, we can create multiple machine with this script.
Yeah, you can also create a multiple VMs, similar pattern you can follow. First, you create one VM, okay?
Okay.
Because that itself little complex because you have to declare multiple things.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to create a VNet first, then subnet, then all those things you have to define, right? So that's a really challenging stuff. And if I start with it, it will be a confusion. That's why I did not start with that.
Okay.
But there's a bunch of documentation. If you wanna, if you have a requirement to create any VMs or anything using PowerShell, you have plenty of documentation available in Microsoft documentation or in the GitHub in multiple places. Okay, the VMs
Okay.
seems to be stopped. Let me just do a refresh here. Both are in a stop status. Okay, this is a sample script. Okay, at a high level, you can reference this and start executing. And in our OneNote, you will see more scripts updated. You can just check that. Okay, day to day what we use it. So it's like stopping VMs and non-business servers for multiple VMs, and you can also filter here. Okay, where you can use a where condition. I believe where object. Then you can say some kind of thing like this. Name contains name hyphen, I think we should use, yeah, contains, or I think match should be perfect one. Let's say if I want to filter only for one VM, it's a web VM. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Okay, that's all. Then just close this. You can say this. Okay, but here instead of stop, I want to delete. I think it should be remove az-vm resource group name force. So it get all the VMs, but it should only delete this machine. But when you are experimenting anything scripts, right, do not experiment on the delete or restart kind of operations, because if it is not working, it won't delete this one. It will delete all of them. Okay. Since the VMs are started, I will start the stop, right? I will start the VM. Okay. And for starting the VM, you don't need to have a force command here. So with this command, though it is fetching all the machines, it should only start the machine that matches this name. Let's execute this. So let's wait. Okay, it's updating. Okay, it's something is happening. All right. So that's how you build the scripts. Okay, any questions so far?
No.
Okay, the VM is in a starting status. If you remember what is boot diagnostics, you can go and check here. Okay, it's in a good state. It will be updated very soon. Okay, I'll share these commands with you guys. Feel free to let me know if